Hey, beautiful soul. Before we jump into the episode, I want to know, did you know that I have a completely free virtual new moon circle called Co-Create every single month? This stemmed out of a constant request for a space or a church that taught so many different spiritual modalities, tools, systems, beliefs, and I didn't have any place to send them. So I created it. In Co-Create, this is the space that I want to bring to you to learn how to create a connection to yourself, your energetics, and the divine in a community that won't make you feel like a weirdo. A space where you can ask any question you want, where we get to dive into so many systems and beliefs and tools, and you get to pick and choose what feels good for you. So you can learn what it means to truly co-create with the universe, God, source, for flow, trust, and surrender, to connect with other women who are spiritually curious in a space that's safe, sacred, and inspirational. It's your space for you to find your people and lean into new spiritual practices to truly co create with the universe or God or source or whoever you feel connected to. You'll gain tools and knowledge to understand what it really means to lean into the universal laws and become magnetic, all while being held by massive feminine energy. I've been hosting these free new moon circles for almost a year now, and it's definitely one of my most sacred spaces, and it's completely free for you every single month. Diana said that she made a promise to herself that she would work on her personal development and growth journey earlier in 2024. So I reached out to her and asked her for a testimonial to share with us. And what she said was Adriana's membership community and Co-Create has accelerated that and more. I have had multiple breakthroughs from finding a new career path, improving my mental health by reducing my anxiety and depression through journaling, meditation, and breath work, improving my physical health, doing walking meditations are my jam, strengthening my marriage and relationships, improving my money mindset, and just setting up a routine that complements my design. I've learned to embrace challenges as a sign of growth. I will continuously do my best to be in harmony with myself, with this world, and the universe. I have never felt so seen, heard, safe, and supported. Her community and Co-Create has helped me connect to my true authentic self, to move with grace and intention, to embrace everyone's uniqueness. And we each have a special gift and are collectively part of this world to show and share it this way. Thank you so much, Diana, for sharing all of your reflections and how Co-Create and my community has changed your life. And now I want to share it with everyone else. The link to register is in the show notes below. Even if you register for 1 month, you will automatically be signed up to be able to join every single month for as long as you're on the list. So you don't have to repeat it every month. You will always get on the list. You will always have the Zoom link available. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Now enjoy the episode. Welcome to the No BS Human Design Podcast. I'm Adriana Keefe, human design coach and motivational speaker. I went through my quarter life crisis in my 20s and had to learn how to navigate through finding what I was meant to be doing with my life. I refused to believe in the culture that said we were all meant to have the same path and boring careers until we retire and die. And along my journey, I found human design, a system that reveals your energetic blueprint, showing you where and how to access your body's consciousness and how to live as your true self. Human design changed my life, so I started sharing it with others and changing their lives, but we were all finding the same problem: a lack of resources that explain the system in easy and useful ways. So I created this show where we dive deep into the lessons of the human design system without the BS and the noise you find on the internet. Listen in for lessons in human design, finding your purpose, manifestation and spiritual practices, human design within business, and so much more. We connect with other experts in the human design and spiritual realm in a refreshingly honest way to help you find your way along your spiritual path and live this life with intention. It's time to let go of the societal expectations of being and let yourself find abundance through being uniquely you. Let's get started. Oh, I am like the most excited for this conversation because I was just saying before we started recording, it is hard to pin down some manifestors to get them on a call all at the same time. And we had four of you, and I was like blown away. And then some things happened, and we have two of you. I'm so grateful that you guys were able to be here. I knew it would just be difficult to get everyone back on the schedule again. So I was like, fuck it, we're doing it. I'm so amped. I have a 10-year-old who's a manifester, and my best friend is a manifester. So this is going to be such a good conversation. All right. So first, before anything else, I'm going to have you guys introduce yourself. Lydia, you are up here first on my screen. Hello. Thanks for being here. What do you want people to know about you?
Hello, my name is Lydia Bagarozza. I am a publicist and I actually support a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs. I've had quite a few in human design. I have a lot of friends that are human design experts, so I'm very excited to have this conversation today. That's pretty much it.
What's your zodiac sign?
Oh, yes, yes. So I'm an emotional manifestor 6'2", and then
Mhm.
zodiac signs, I am a Gemini sun, a Leo rising, and an Aries moon.
I see you, girl. I'm a Leo rising. Happy early birthday. When's your birthday?
My goodness, thank you. June 7th.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, so it's coming up.
Okay. All right. So I love that you're also a Leo rising. I'm like, oh, see, related right then and there. Beautiful. Elizabeth. Well, hello.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. And so I am an intuitive spiritual mentor, soul purpose activator, and healer. And I really love working with other people who, are in this kind of like area where they're ready to step into their next purpose or activate their soul gifts and help them through that process, activating them, healing them, all the blocks, all the things. And I love just doing healings and helping people like, let go of what no longer serves them. So that's kind of how I work with people right now. It's definitely evolved over time as I've, stepped into this entrepreneur role for sure. So it's been so much fun. And I am a manifester with a splenic authority, a 4-6, I believe. And yeah, I'm still learning all the ins and outs about all those things, right? Like, I feel like human design is such a beautiful beast that, like, it just is really something you study. And so I'm so grateful to have people like you that are manifesting X or not, are human design experts, right? That be like, well, this is why you're doing this, and this is why I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense, right? I am a Pisces and then a Taurus rising, and I believe Aries moon. I think that's what I was. Yeah. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I love that. I love that your Aries just like adds extra spark to your fire. Because when I think manifester, it just feels very Aries energy, like the initiator, the fire starter, the let's get things going. You don't have to be any or have any Aries to be a manifester, but that is just like the energy that I feel and think about. So, for anyone listening who doesn't know the energy of a manifester, they're only 9% of the world, and they have what's called a closed aura, which I'm super interested to hear what you guys like think about that in a moment. And this closed aura, if you go to Google human design information, I always say don't. Please, I recommend that you don't because it's not emotionally intelligent. It was channeled through the perspective of an older white male who was also a manifester and had his very aggressive perspective and very egoic way of saying things. So your closed aura, it's one that people can't read. It's just your energy is for yourself, and that's for your initiator, your activator self. You need to be in like your own little bubble so that you can just like create, like download, create, download, create. And when people can't read that or understand that, they shut down. And so you'll see words like repelling out there on the internet. And I'm like, that is the fucking worst. Like, this is just so unintelligent and so triggering. So I'm curious, we'll start with Lydia. Have you been told or looked into human design ever where you were told that your aura was repelling? And what did that feel like for you?
Yeah, I think it's a little different for me because I'm a Gemini and I have a lot of open centers. So, and I'm a Leo rising, so I think I have a lot of like bubbly energy. However, I did go to recently this like intuitive class, actually, our friend Jess. Jess Babaco, she's also a human design expert. She was doing like an intuitive class at a local yoga studio, and I was in one of those moods that day where I was kind of just like a little tired, wasn't really putting out my forthright, like bubbly self, and I was just participating in whatever. And at the end of the class, a girl told me that she was really intimidated by me. I was like, really? And I'm not an intimidating person. Like what I think, I don't think that I am. So I thought that was really interesting because that was the first time that I really got that like kind of nudge of being a little bit repelling. And I think it's when I'm in, specifically for me, but when I'm in certain energies of like, I'm just not in the mood today. Like, I'm just going to kind of like do my thing, support my friend, whatever, where I do kind of get that response. So I feel like I've noticed over time that when I'm like, I don't know if I do this. Maybe you do this, Elizabeth, but like, I feel like I need to try a little bit harder to not be like, repelled, I guess, as much or whatever term we want to call it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels like you have to try to make people think that you're not like a bitch or a mean person or
Correct.
intimidating. That's not the first time I've heard that, Elizabeth.
No, no, not at all. I mean, you mean this resting bitch face isn't just, it's just not that. It's also my aura. Like, I've always been like, you look angry or you look mad or like you're so intense. Like, I have to consciously, like, when I'm on Zooms or like listening, pay attention to my face, being like, do I look like I'm miserable or like bored or, you know what I mean? And I don't, and in just you even saying that, remembering that, right, really helps with like, that is just who I am. But also, like growing up as a kid, right? I was always labeled as like really intense or, not approachable or like mean. And I played softball and I was super competitive, and everyone was like scared of me, right? Like they were scared of me on the field, and I was a catcher, and I was like the authority, right? I've always been in that role of the like leader authority figure. But it's just so funny, like when you didn't even think, you're like, but I don't mean to be like that. Like I'm not really trying. Like you can approach me, like I'm not mean. It's just the way that you come off, right? Without even knowing it.
I feel like out of all the types, and we've all been deeply conditioned, and I have seen manifestors been the most deeply conditioned because you're probably one of the bigger outliers where you're built like so completely differently. And people, good meaning caregivers are trying to get you to stop pivoting, stop like stick with one thing, stop creating, you need to work more, you need to work less. And it's just like I've seen you guys go from complete people pleasing because now you don't know who you are. You're like a shell of a human all the way to the other end of the spectrum of like fuck people, I hate people, like all of this. And it's really interesting watching you try and find a middle ground because it hasn't been easy for you. The way that people it's just people's own shit because they don't know what to make of your energy and therefore they're projecting their insecurities on you. I'm very glad that I know that my 10-year-old's a manifester because I am able to give her more of that freedom and that autonomy while also putting boundaries in place to keep her safe. But if I didn't know the things that I know, last weekend when she had this 4-day creative urge to bake at 4 in the morning, I would have been shutting her down. It's literally happened. 4:30, 4 in the morning. She baked every single morning for days in a row. And my husband was like, what's happening? I'm like, I think she's in a creative urge cycle right now. We just got to let this play out. We're out of eggs and out of butter, but it's fine. We'll just let her do her thing. So I'm super curious, Lydia, when you first learned that you were a manifester, how did that knowledge shift how you see yourself? Or almost did it bring validation, or was there like a lot of friction that you felt with it?
Yeah. So to piggyback on what Elizabeth said, when she said she's always been in that leadership role, I am always in the leadership role. So I also played sports. I played field hockey. I was very competitive. I was always the leader in every group project, anything like if things aren't moving forward quick enough, I'll just pick it up and I'll be the leader. And I used to get like frustrated with that and be like, oh, I'm like over it. I don't want to always be the leader. I don't want to always be making the decisions. But learning that I'm a manifester actually gave me some peace with that, where I was like, oh, I'm actually like meant to be the leader and help move things forward. And I don't have to be the finisher either. So I think that was really eye opening for me to help me see my role better. Whereas I think prior, I was always the starter and then the finisher, and I would just burn myself out and be like, oh my God, I don't need to do everything. Like I can actually just
Yeah.
excite people, like inform them to do something, and then they'll just pick it up and go with it. And I don't have to like worry about it. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, you're not just in your own creation process, you're inspiring other people into action. I saw this
Mhm.
come to life. I held a retreat this fall, and we were trying to get every woman there to stand up and dance in the moonlight and like howl at the moonlight. And at first, everyone was like super shy or whatever. Guess who the one person that stood up was when the rest of them followed? She was a manifester, and she stood up and she was like starting, she's like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And then all of a sudden, you see everyone else starting to stand up. I was like, that's wild. Elizabeth, what about for you?
This is gonna sound so silly and trivial, but like when I first like really like I had studied it, but I or knew I was a manifestor, but I didn't really understand it. And I had a mentor one time when we were talking, and I don't even know how it came up, but she was telling me, as a manifestor, like you need to take breaks. Like your energy literally needs you to take breaks throughout the day. And for me, that completely shifted like my energy as an entrepreneur, someone that is working full time in their business from home, right? Because I would like feel so guilty that if I needed to like lay down like literally take a nap for like 20, 30 minutes during the day, I felt like such a POS, like a lazy POS, right? Like millionaires don't take naps. Like, what are you doing? Like get up, like get to work, like get moving. And but my energy would be so depleted, right? I would just be like staring like a zombie at the screen, not actually even doing anything beneficial. And that just alone gave me the permission to be able to like recognize in my body, in my energy, when I actually need a break and to just honor that and it be okay. And then I have enough energy to go back and do work. And it doesn't mean anything negative about me. It's just how I made up. So I know it's like so like little but simple, but it actually is super profound, right? And how I function throughout the day to actually get my goals and my work done.
1,000%. And whenever I'm working with a manifestor or doing a chart reading, I always recommend Holly Herbig's book. I think I've told you about this, Elizabeth, called Informed. And it's because I can guide you from an education standpoint, but I have never really lived the life of like creative urge or rest cycle. And Holly Herbig is a business owner. And so she wrote a whole book about being a manifestor. She literally has a manifestor community, full of probably thousands of manifestors by now. And then she created this book about being essentially being a manifestor, but being a business owner and a manifestor. Cause that's like wild. I know I get tired. I've got 3 kids and I'm just like flatline sometimes, but it's got to be a completely different experience for you guys as well. That's actually a great question to lead into next. We have not just a lot of business owners listening, but a lot of parents who probably go through cycles of like really going all out with their kids and then they're just like so tired or just even trying to make it through the day. So Lydia, what helps you when you're finding that you're in more of like a rest cycle or downtime? Or do you even feel that? Like, do you resonate with that?
First off, I give any manifestor parent all the credit in the world because I've thought about this and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do it eventually. But um, I used to get frustrated that I needed rest, similar to you, Elizabeth, where and I think it's because we are that 9% where we don't see it a lot, where I actually, in the middle of the day, a lot of the times I lose steam. And then I'll get inspired again at night. And sometimes I'll pick up my computer at night and do some things. And typically it feels aligned for me. Like it doesn't feel like I'm burning myself out. Like maybe I'll sit in front of the TV and like, on my
Yeah.
computer and it's no big deal. Um, but I will notice that other people are like meal prepping at that time, or maybe they're like going out with friends. And then I'll get frustrated with myself, like, why can't I sit and do this for long stints or periods of time? So, what does help me is definitely taking breaks. Sometimes I'll take walks in the middle of the day to like respark energy. Um, I told one of my friends this who does human design, and she was like, Lydia, it's because of this. But, anyways, what I'll do sometimes to get inspired is I will go to like cafes and
Yep.
because I have a lot of open centers, I think,
Yeah.
I'm like absorbing other people's energy, I guess. I didn't realize I was doing this, but I would go to a cafe in the middle of the day and all of a sudden I have all the energy in the world and I can like
Hmm.
finish what I'm doing on my computer and be laser focused for hours. So I don't know if that's like a good or a bad thing, but I do find little like hacks for myself that help me. And then there are some times that I allow myself to do the like break in the middle of the day and pick up later on in the evening. But if I don't want to do that because others are not doing that and I want to maybe hang out with friends or have dinner with my fiance, I'll try to find those little, you know, tricks that'll help me.
And as a business owner, have you found that you've had any seasons where you were just like so unmotivated, so lacking creation, like just straight up tired for like days on end?
Yeah, I'm in that right now. It's
Oh,
very
are
frustrating.
you? Oh, this is such
Um,
divine timing then.
Yeah, I'm in
mm,
that right now where I'm like I'm actually just coming getting over a cold, I think, because I was like really burning the
Mm.
candle at both ends. Um, But yeah, I do find myself doing that. And what's really helped me, I was very resistant in I've been in PR for over 10 years. I have done it all. I worked with like Grammy award winning artists. I was in the music industry, super different than what I'm doing now. Pivoted. Most of my clients are in health and wellness, spirituality, that sort of thing. And I do freelance. And for a long time, I didn't want to move into like the agency model because I was like kind of burned from agencies. Agency life is like a whole thing. Anybody who's been in corporate or been in agencies, they get it. It is not for the faint of heart. And I realized I had like a literal come to Jesus moment last year, if you will, where I was like, okay, I actually need support. I'm meant to be a CEO that has people underneath me. It's okay to get support. And when I'm feeling slow or in that lull period, I can have like a generator or a man generator, some sort of generator type that can help me keep that momentum all the way through so I can still, live in the day to day, produce great work, but I don't need to be like the doer all the time. Because there are times where I'm a doer and I freaking love it. I'm like in it and ready to go. And so right now, actually, I'm in that like cycle of exhaustion. And it has been such a freaking blessing to have my assistant who's a generator and she is just a go, go, go type of gal. And so what I will say as a business owner is that was a long way to say support is so important, I
Mhm.
think, for manifestors.
Yeah, 1,000% support for everyone, but
Yeah.
especially like non-sacro people. Like you're literally gonna make yourself sick. I mean, we all can, but yes. Elizabeth, what about for you? I can't remember. What was my original question?
it
Oh,
was
the
about
creative urges
parenting.
versus rest cycles, and yes.
Parenting, rest cycles,
Parenting, yeah,
yeah.
and like it kind of piggybacks on Lydia is asking for support. And I am fortunate enough to be, have a spouse who a partner who, my husband who is a great dad, and like we totally tag team. We used to do it where like on the weekends we take turns sleeping in certain days, and now we realize like I am a morning person. That is when my energy is the highest, and his is at night. I am not a night owl. So I do mornings with our kids and he does evenings. He does bedtime every single night because at that point I am exhausted mentally and physically. And I don't have as much energy and as much patience as he does, where he's spending so much time and energy with them, which is so beautiful because he has that energy. So it's really leaning on him for that support when my energy is low, and where I can sit and relax then and do the things that I want to do for me, right? So and I know not everyone is lucky to have that support system, right? And to be able to ask for support or bring in support, right? So I think it really just comes down to be giving yourself grace, right? Like recognizing that I think society again has, and the boost of like Pinterest and social media, right? Like where everyone's posting, "Oh, I did this with my kids and I did this with my kids." And then you feel like you have to live up to this expectation, right? This high expectation to constantly be entertaining your kids or doing the most fabulous things, right? And I don't
Fucking
know about
Bluey. Bluey's dad making us all look bad. You guys watch Bluey? Oh, it's
yeah,
so
I
good.
mean,
And
well, Bluey's an awesome show, but still,
it's an
at the
awesome
same, but
show.
right, like,
Yeah.
I don't know about you when I grew up, but like we were outside entertaining ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
Like the amount
Yeah.
of times that our parents actually like interacted with us to play. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it was right or wrong by any
Yeah.
means, right? Like I love how interactive a lot of us are with our kids now and in their lives, which is so beautiful. But my point is, it's like we most of us are okay, right? Like give yourself some grace if you can't constantly be that like on parent, right? And that you just need a break and maybe you're taking breaks together. Maybe you're putting on a show and just watching a movie together. It's okay, right? Like to just take those pauses and explain to your child, this is just how my energy works. I just need a little bit of break. We can go do something fun and maybe put it on the calendar, right? Or save those special days like where you have like a yes day or, we're going to spend quality time together on this day. Like this is our day where I'm all yours. And then yeah, if you need that extra cup of coffee, me personally, I've been getting vitamin B shots, been helping a ton with my energy. I'm like in need of another one because I'm noticing like that rest cycle is starting to like I'm like was in a rest cycle and now I'm finally starting to get out of it. Like with my business, I was like, I launched and I was like, I don't want to do another launch. Like I don't know how people can do launch like every single month. Absolutely not, cannot, no way. Like I cannot. Like no matter how much I would love to, right, to keep the momentum going, I was like totally not inspired to do any sort of launch, but now I'm starting to feel it again. I'm starting to feel the downloads are coming, the hits are coming like, oh, but getting the energy to actually produce it, right? Again takes you energy to actually want to do it. Like you want to do it, but like to actually implement it takes another
Yeah.
boost of energy, I feel like.
You need to feel like that urge, that pulse. And that was actually going to be my next question. So before I go to Lydia and ask Elizabeth, let's just round this out. Like, what does a creative urge feel like to you? Like, how do you recognize when it's time to initiate or act on something?
Yeah, I think for me, it's like this restless feeling, right? Like I can no longer just sit and rest, and like I feel it in my like almost in my solar plexus and in my sacral for sure. For me, like oh, like the butterflies, like I want to create, I want to be able to launch and create something new and bring something else out to create it, right? And so it's really just recognizing that feeling and then allowing myself to actually sit down and allow it to come in rather than just from force of being like, okay, well, now what is it? Right? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, okay, I have the urge, but like, what is it that I'm doing? So just in allowing them to come in. And for me, my intuitive hits come very much at like sporadic times. Like if I sit down and try to meditate and receive it, most likely I'm going to start overthinking and it's just not going to come in. So it will come in like when I'm like listening to a podcast or listening, like watching YouTubes or whatever, or get inspired by TikTok and like, oh my gosh, I could do it in this way, right? That's how mine come in.
Do you find that you experience any type of like manic energy or insomnia or anything like that when you get like real creative urges?
Me personally, I don't feel like it. I feel like my energy is pretty balanced, and I am just speaking for myself. I have a pretty low energy. Like if we go to like into Chinese medicine, like low qi, like I've always been lower energy and struggled with that. Like literally, like I went to a Chinese doctor and she was like, "You have low energy." I was like, "Yeah, tell me something I don't know." And this was like 15 years ago. And then my last mentor, she was also into Chinese medicine. She's like, that's just the way you're built. So I never have that like super like manic. If it does, like if I'm going, it's almost from a place of like I have so much I want to do. And it's almost like I just keep going because I feel like I need to because I want to get all the things done, right? Like even though I really know I want to sit down and do
Mm,
nothing. But so I guess it's kind of manic without even recognizing it maybe.
maybe.
Right? Not even really being aware of it. Does that make sense? What did I answer all the question? I forgot if there was a second
Yes,
part.
yes, you did. And
Okay.
now that you're saying, I guess it's kind of manic. Now I'm questioning, I guess that is a little bit manic because it's like obsessing over trying to get the stuff done.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, it could feel like roots under pressure or something, but yeah, it feels like stressing over trying to get it done, almost like you're going to run out of time, like you're going to run out
Right.
of energy or something. So I guess that, yeah, maybe that's a little manic.
Yeah, yeah. And it can be overwhelmed, but usually it's just like I'll just keep going until it gets done, right? Like
Hmm.
that's just and so that probably is probably a little bit manic without even realizing it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about for you, Lydia? How can you tell when you feel, if you feel any sort of like creative urge to get going? And does it last like for days? Like my daughter with her baking lasted, I think, 5 days, something like that.
Oh my God, yeah. I get like hyper fixated on things. I'm like, is this undiagnosed ADHD or are we just being a manifestor? Like, not really sure. But
Mhm.
anyway,
It's probably all
um,
linked. I mean, come on.
there's no way. I like, yeah, anyway. I don't care enough to go get a test done, but I'm like, maybe. And I also think about that quite often. Like if there, maybe you know this answer, but like are like certain signs connected to certain like, archetypes, or I just like sometimes see correlations. Like when you said the Aries
Hmm.
energy, I was like, well, I'm an Aries moon, she's an Aries moon, Jess is an Aries sun. Like I do see that a lot, so I don't know. But I do know like astrologies and human design. Anyways, I digress.
Yep.
In terms of feeling urges, acting on them, I definitely feel them similarly, like butterflies, where I'm like, oh, this is so exciting, and I get really jazzed about it. And it feels almost like a need versus like a want or like an outside, like maybe you should. If I'm questioning it, it's not an urge. If I just know, it's an urge. And my manic states, manic, will kind of look like where I feel like I'm not running out of time, but like I'm nervous and I've run out of that spark or that creation. And so I will also sit down and like get something done or do it. Like I need to do it and I need to do it all the way through. So, like, for example, even just talking about like business and things like that, I came up with this course like 2 years ago. I launched it once and I was like, that's it. But it was called Find Your Irresistible. And it was about branding and personal branding and positioning. Cause like with PR, that's step one. It's like you need to position yourself and then you can pitch. And so I got this like creative urge where I like needed to make this happen. I sat down, got the name, did the entire thing, and I worked on this until like 4 in the morning. Like all the way night through, and I'm not a night owl. Like I am usually pooped at like 7 or 8. So that was really wild to me where I felt like I needed to do it. And then the next day I was like, okay, I don't even know what happened. I have no idea what I created. I don't even know what's in here. And now I need to teach it. Like, what is going on? But yeah, it that will happen with all areas of my life. It's not just like work. It's like, excitement over a new like style. Or I also really love being creative, like painting, drawing, those sort of things. So it'll be like I need to do that. Like I went to Michael's, I think like last year, I bought like 4 canvases, new paints. I did like one painting, but I like needed to get all of these things. So I understand your daughter with the baking.
Yeah. I feel like I see a lot of my daughter as you guys are talking. I'm like, it's wild. I swear that girl, like, granted, she's still coming into her own, but like, I don't think she even really needs sleep. Like, this kid could be up all night long. She's the kid who watches the ball drop at midnight on New Year's, and then she wakes up at 5 the next day, totally fine. I'm like, how? That's absolutely bananas. So, okay, so we talked about the creation, the urge, and we kind of already touched on like when you can tell that urge is complete. Are there any like almost like red flags or signals for our manifestors listening that you can tell them to remind them when it might be time to pause or pull back a little bit, like that urge is settling? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that
Okay.
does. I am Lydia here. I personally sometimes have to even what I'll notice is like sometimes my creativity will still continue, but my body is telling me no and that I need to rest. And that will be difficult for me. And I don't realize that like I also get influenced easily by other people's energies. So, for example, if I'm like, I don't know, I'll notice this with like energy of I'll be out with a friend and they'll be really excited about something and they'll tell me, "Ooh, I really want to like, I don't know, go out Friday night for dinner." And they're so excited to try this new place. And I'm like, me too. Yeah, let's do it. Like, I will get like hyped on their vibe. And then I'll go home and I'll realize, like, oh, I don't actually want to do that. But like, I'm excited for them, but I don't know. And then I'll push
Did you
myself.
say
And
your
so,
emotional authority?
yeah.
Yeah, that's it too. I'm emotional too, so I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, you get like high on the vibes.
Hmm.
And so what I'll notice is like, I am like a person that likes to be really outgoing. I love people, like all these things, but also like listening to my body as a manifestor is a real thing. 'Cause, like I will get sick. Like I was sick recently and I'm getting over that. So, noticing when you're starting to feel exhausted and reminding yourself like you do need rest. And I think for manifestors, it's not just like rest, it's like solitude or like needing to flow through your own day. It's almost like not like, to me anyway, sitting on the couch and taking a nap. It's more like I just need space where I can like do my own thing. And that might be going for a walk or doing some errands or like relaxing, but it's not being interfered by like other people's energies, I guess.
And you also have that line too that needs a lot of that like just solo hermit time to help you really recalibrate. So a lot
Yeah.
of that makes sense. It's like you need extra alone time and autonomy as a line two manifester.
hmm
Elizabeth, what about for you? How can you tell when it's time to slow down?
I think I've just gotten really good at just doing it on a regular basis. So I don't get that a lot where it's like, besides on a daily basis being like, okay, stop working. You know what I mean? Like, cause I'll like sometimes want to like take an I have like so there's a thing called like the saboteur test, and one of mine's is restless, right?
Yeah.
Where I am a restless, that's my saboteur, where I always feel like I have to be doing something, right? Like it's really difficult for me to just sit and watch TV and just watch TV. Like I always feel like I have to be multitasking or being productive, or like this is a waste of time. I should be like, making content or like whatever. You know what I mean? Or just whatever I could be doing at the same time. And so I think it's for me is like really listening to my body when it's like, okay, enough, just be, like practice just being and being present. And so that's like for me on a daily basis rather than this, bigger, like big rest cycles or big active cycles, right? And then again, it's just listening to my intuition and my gut. Like, do I want to do this, right? And I've really practiced that too, getting rid of the people pleaser thing, right? Like where it's like if I don't want to do it, unless it's like really, 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 really important, then I probably won't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like where it's like I don't really want to go out to that dinner over there, on a Friday night because I am not like I'm opposite of Lydia. I'm a bit of an introvert. Like I love being home and I love being alone. But which is funny because I have 4-6, which I'm pretty sure is about connection and relationships,
Yep.
but also like I have kids and I have a husband, right? So I'm not really alone, but I enjoy like my alone time when my kids are at school or like they went away this weekend to Iowa. So I was all three of them. So I was by myself for like three
That
days.
sounds amazing.
Amazing, and I remember the first time that like when they did that, my daughter was like so concerned like if I was going to be okay, and I was like, "Oh, I'll be fine." Like, don't you worry. Like, I'm good because I do get overstimulated with there's a lot
Yep.
of noise. Like I've always been like that. Like the radio is very quiet in my car. Like, like it's not like I don't like a lot of noise and I don't like big crowds. So I've always been like that. And that could be also from being empathic, right? Like energies affect me, but really just paying attention to that. Like I need that like little bit of alone time and decompression time before like, anything. And I really quickly, I just remember when we were during COVID, and one time my friend called me on FaceTime and she's like, "What are you doing?" It was like the middle of the day, and I was just in my bedroom, and I was like, just in my bedroom with my hubs hiding from our kids, like because we just needed that like quiet time, right? We weren't talking, we were just in there like just, does that make sense?
Yes, I feel like adding kids into the mix, it's just like a whole nother layer of really having to understand your energetic balance. And like how you're saying you have to focus on how it's balanced every single day. I'm curious if when the kids are older and maybe they're off to college or out of the house, if you're going to start to feel more of those peaks and valleys if you fall off of like the everyday kind of, where's my energy kind of happening now? Or just not having the life sucked out of you by little minions. I mean, who knows? It could be completely different after.
Yeah, I truly believe for me it's a daily balance, like a
Yeah.
practice that I have to do.
Yep. 100%. So now I want to talk about the strategy of informing. it can feel, this is one of the biggest things, the biggest places of resistance. You can tell on your faces. You're like, are you know what I'm talking about when I do a chart reading and I'm like, but you are actually designed to like inform people and keep people in the loop. And they're like, what? I don't understand what you just said. You just told me to just like go run off and do my own thing, but now you're telling me to go share with people. And it is not about the seeking of permission, but I'm super curious how you guys feel about informing and if it came naturally or if it's a challenge and how has it helped or hindered? Lydia?
Yeah, I thought about this one and I feel like it comes naturally when I know I'm not going to get any resistance, where I'm like, oh, okay, I can just like inform and it's fine. But when I feel like I could potentially get some resistance, it'll be a little bit difficult for me. So, what I've done throughout my life, I don't know if this is good or not, but um, I will just like make a decision and then inform afterwards. And yeah, Elizabeth's like, same. Yeah, so I'll just kind of decide and start moving in that direction and then let them know when I feel really good about my decision because I don't like being told what to do, which I feel like a lot of people don't like too, but I feel like specifically manifestors, it's like, no, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. Um, so yeah, I think that's kind of what the challenge has been. Does that answer your question?
hmm I'm
Yeah.
curious if that feels like, because technically, of course, there's the human design teaching versus what's real life.
Yeah.
Human design would say, no, no, you're supposed to inform before you do the thing.
Yeah.
But I'm very much like, well, is this working out well for you? Is this, are you're not hitting any resistance? You're not hitting any people getting angry at you? Like, so if it sounds like it's working out well for you, you've kind of found your rhythm for it, right?
Yeah, and I think I know like who I can do that with. Like family just expects that from me, I think at this point. Like when I decided I wanted to move to Florida, I would like hint at it here and there. I'm from Jersey, and my fiance is from Florida, and so we decided to come down. But when I decided to make the decision, like we had already found an apartment at this point. So we were just like, hey, I mentioned this a few times, like in passing. Well, we're actually going to do it and we're leaving on this day. So I think with informing, it's it could be good to like hint at things so it's not fully like I'm doing this blah 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 because I think it can be difficult with certain people where they can have their opinions pressed on you and we're not
Mhm.
supposed to be like molded into something else and we're supposed to be or at least what I understand from human design like more of that authority kind of do our march to the beat of our own drum. So that's what's worked for me. I know I've had a hard time with this one, to be honest, just because it is confusing. Like I've looked into this quite a few times and I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what does informing mean? Like, what am I supposed to be doing here? But that's just what's worked for me.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've actually set really good boundaries in place for what people can and can't expect of you,
Yeah,
which is
definitely.
what most people don't do. Not even just manifestors, but like most people in general. So once that expectation is set and you've literally trained people how to expect something from you versus like all your life you are a people pleaser and all of a sudden now you're like, well, I'm going to start living by this and then I'm going to start telling people what I'm doing, but then they shut you down because they're not used to you doing the radical things that you want to do, like shaving your head or moving to Florida or whatever it is. That makes total sense. You've trained them.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, what about for you?
Yeah, this has definitely been a challenge, I think, when learning about like, oh, I'm here to inform, when like my whole life, like, yeah, I was a leader, like, when it comes like how Lydia said, like group projects, or I was like the team captain or like whatever. But honest, like I'm a younger sibling to an older sibling who was like, rock star student, like in every sport, and I did a lot of following, right? I did a lot of repeating of what she did, and not that I blame her for like, and not like in a bad way, but like it was just like, oh, well, she's doing this, so I'm gonna do it, right? So it wasn't like me saying, I'm gonna go do this. It was like, I'm doing this because this is what is expected, right? And just like a lot of decisions I felt were made for me or suggested for me. And it was just like, okay, the whole thing with like, it's not if you're going to college, it's what college you're going to, right? And so, and oftentimes, and my mother, I love her so, so dearly. She is a very authoritative figure in my life, and still is to a certain extent. But I also worked for my mom for 15, 16 years right out of college, and so we were very close. And so there was a lot of like passing ideas to her and looking for her opinion, right? And so it was like I got into this kind of pattern of like needing her approval before actually doing anything. So yes, I would inform her of my ideas, but it wasn't like I'm doing this. It was like, what do you think about this, right? And
Yeah.
I got into that pattern of not living in my authority at all, right? Like, and not being in alignment with my design. And now that I recognize that. And so like with business, you're supposed to, like, for messaging, for example, you're supposed to tell people like something's coming, like you're informing them, you're telling them like you're working on something things. And so I try to do that, but it's very still challenging. It's like kind of like when I create the thing, I just want to come out and say, here it is, right? Like, here's the thing. Like, I don't want to have to be like, by the way, something's coming, and then you're waiting for it, and then it's like I just want to deliver it when it's ready. Does that make sense? Like,
Yes,
that's been
very
the
much.
challenge for me, honestly.
Hmm. Yeah, it has to be really just kind of like a mind fuck to be someone who's like so in your own closed energy, like your own bubble, but then also trying to keep everyone in the loop. I mean, that's really where informing comes in, is like you have a very fast-paced energy. People don't know what the hell you're doing half the time. And then all of a sudden you come out and you're like, bam, I did this. And everyone's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. And so it's like it brings everyone on the same playing field. But then, especially for you, Elizabeth, that line 4, people really, and the line 6 actually, people really just want to know what you're doing and want to stay in your world. And that I can understand how that would feel hard when a lot of the times you're like, I just want my world to myself until I'm ready. But like your
Yeah.
people, actually, Lydia, you're line 6 too, right? So your
Yeah.
people want to know what you're evolving into. They want to know what you're doing. So it is a weird balancing act, I can imagine. But it's really just because people want to come into your world and want to know what's going on, um, more than anything else, I think.
I'll add though, like, and this is the beauty of social media, right? Like, I do try to share a lot in my stories of what I'm doing personally and professionally, and that I feel helps me like, so people know what I'm doing, right?
Mhm.
Besides the fact of like if I'm launching something, I need to get better at that. Like, something's coming, right? Like, I'm creating mode. But like I, was going through a certification for Kundalini yoga and other healing modalities, and I was posting about that sporadically, being like, actually I posted for 40 days straight because we were
Mhm.
doing
Wow.
a morning's sadhana practice for 40 days straight. So every morning I was posting like the card that I would pull for that morning practice, right? So it really was like keeping people in the loop of like, this is coming, right? This certification is coming. So more teachings about this is coming, and it has been like unveiling slowly but surely, right? Like, and new modalities are coming because I need guinea pigs for my certification, right? And so like that's almost like a kind of like fun way to inform people of this is coming, because obviously the next step for me is going to be launching a modality, right, of combining all of these gifts, all of these things. And so I've kind of been like slowly trickling them out. So that's a perfect example of how I guess you could start informing people of what you're doing, is
Mhm.
just sharing what you're doing on an everyday basis in your stories on social media. Because people love binging stories. I do. Like, I love clicking through stories.
I basically just look at the story of Machine
Me
Gun Kelly and that's
too.
it. I'm just like,
Machine Gun
whatever.
Kelly.
Machine Gun Kelly. And I'm super curious, Elizabeth, how that turns out for when you do start like teaching about it. Like, did that letting them into your world and keeping them informed, did that significantly increase the impact that you make when you're ready to do that? That would be a really fun thing to really experiment with and see how it worked for you.
For sure, especially with introducing new things like Kundalini yoga that many of my
Hmm.
personal people probably still don't understand. I mean, a lot of them don't understand what I do anyway, but now they're probably like, you're doing what? Like,
You're doing
what is
spirals? What is that? I love it. Kundalini's the best.
it?
Little
Yeah.
drop there for anyone who wants to try it.
Yeah.
Um, this has been, it's just so interesting because my best friend is a manifestor, and she, like years ago when we first looked up her chart, I saw it and I was like, really? I was like, I don't see that in her. But what's been so interesting is to watch her journey since she got divorced few years ago now. And now, first of all, she ghosts me half the time now. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, she's actually coming into her own now because like she'll just like pop in and then she'll leave. Whereas before there was probably like more leaning on each other and all of that. And then now I'm like, oh, she's ghosting. Like there's an energy shift happening. She cut bangs. She's got a bunch of new tattoos. She is choosing to have her next baby on her own, which I think is just so fucking insanely admirable because she knows she wants another child. And I feel like she's just finally now at the age of what, 37, 30, how old are we? I don't know. She's like finally like really embracing her uniqueness and that energy. It's been so wild to see from just a few years ago. I was like, oh, you kind of, I mean, with love, you're kind of like a people pleaser and like, a little bit codependent, aren't we all at times? Maybe not you guys. I don't know. But she's like totally just her own butterfly now. And she goes off and does her own thing. And then she comes back to me and then she goes off and does her own thing. It's just so interesting. Do you guys resonate with any moment in your life that helped you come into your own, whether it was traumatic, like her with her divorce, or something significant? Or do you feel like you've always kind of just had this trajectory innately? Lydia?
Yeah. Um, so I have noticed that I'm a natural leader my entire life. And also, I've noticed that I'm a very passionate person. And so, with every job I've ever had, I will take on way too much. And I think this is related. So, I will take on way too much. And then, every job that I've ever left, they've had to hire more than one person to replace me. And I think it's because I'm just like inspired and I want to go, 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 and whatever. And I knew I had this entrepreneurial spirit, but I never did anything about it until like COVID came around and I was basically like forced out because our agency was like playing with our hours and our salary, but then like not telling the client was like real messed up. So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna like opt out. And so I started my own business, and I think that allowed me to kind of do my own thing because I didn't know any other agency owners other than like my bosses in the past that were much older than me. And so I didn't know anybody doing what I was doing. And it gave me a lot of autonomy, a lot of like creativity to kind of do my own thing. And then I started doing my own thing and I started getting clients like right away. I was very lucky in that, like, I think I launched it at a good time, especially in like our industry where, it was the tail end of 2020, 2021. A ton of businesses bloomed and they were all like, oh, I need to get my name out there. And I was like, publicist here. Hello. So I think I launched at a great time, but it was cool to see. It was cool to see that like I could do something and people would be interested in what I was doing. And it kind of gave me the confidence to allow myself to follow the urges, to be creative, to decide like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this differently. And like, I mean, I only knew myself and it took me a few years to meet other publicists that are in this spirituality or like health and wellness space. And I do have like other brands that are outside of that, but all of them have a through line of some sort of wellness. And it took me a long time to meet others that were kind of doing something similar. So I will say like starting a business for me gave me a lot of confidence to kind of go off and it trickled into other areas of my life.
And
Yeah,
of course, you can say luck and timing with your business, but for me, it always comes back to like, no, you're actually starting to do something you're designed to do. And that can
yeah,
change. Like as you evolve, maybe that changes. But when you step into something that you were just like purely designed to do,
totally.
it's so fucking magical. I love it. Elizabeth, what about for you?
Yeah, so I think for me the big shift was like in 2020 when I just started to get this pull that I was meant to do something else than I was currently doing. Like I said before, I was working for my mom since college and was supposed to take over her company, and it just was like not fulfilling me anymore. And and it wasn't my thing, right? It was, I loved what I did, but not the industry that I was working in, and I wasn't my passion. And I wanted to feel something I was like so passionate about, so lit up about, that I just wanted to go and do every single day, right? And so I think for me that biggest pivotal moment was like the moment, like I told my mom, like, I'm out, basically like scared as hell, like how she would react, like all the things, like, but she was so supportive. And then in a way, it actually, I think, helped her to release her, career and, her industry because she was going to end up consulting with me and for me to carry it on because, like I said, it wasn't something I was like into, like, passionate about. So she would still be there, right? And I think that was like the first time that I actually made a decision for myself, because even like the college I went to, I kid you not, you guys, I went there because my boyfriend at the time was there. And I was like, why not? It sounds fun and then we can pay together. You know what I mean? It wasn't like anything that I was like, this is where I want to go. I was like, sure, cool, So it was really honestly like the first time where I was like making a decision in my authority, like for myself, where like no one told me like it's okay. You know what I'm saying? So that was, I think, pivotal for me.
And I want to point out, I think I'm hearing this correctly, that you deciding that initiated your mom into retirement,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
something she had been thinking about.
she had a plan to retire, right? Like
Hmm.
retire like at the end of 22 and I would be like her role and then she would be a consultant because long story short, she did permanent makeup. I never did it and the industry we were in, we were managing an association for permanent makeup. So I don't have that expertise that she did, so I would need her for certain things.
Hmm.
So essentially I also freed her from being any more involved anywhere near that, as well as my stepdad too, because he was also working with us. He was going to have to stay on with me for certain things, and now he gets to go do what he wants to do. So that was pretty powerful too.
Yeah. It's like when you finally decide to like stand in what you know to be true for you, and then other people are just like, oh my God, like this is actually something I've been needing, or I've been so tired, or whatever. It's wild the ripple effect that happens when we stand in our truth. I see it all the time now, over and over. So
Yeah,
cool.
that's so true. And it's really, and I do feel that way and I have like noticed that like because I made that decision, I almost freed them too in creating that ripple effect of no
Yeah.
longer being in a place that was, I hate to say toxic, right? Like the industry, but just the constant fight and the constant lower negativity that we were
Hmm.
surrounded with often.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
permanent makeup. Your mom sounds cool as shit.
Oh yeah, she was
So
cool. She had a
mine,
tattoo shop. Like since I
did
was like
she?
in second, yeah, she had a tattoo shop. Like it was
Oh.
fun.
I'm
We enjoyed it.
surprised you're not covered in tattoos. Usually
You
you
just
see like all the kids.
I have like five, I think, but they're not. I'm not covered everywhere, but I have big pieces for sure. You
Oh,
just
that's
don't see them
cool.
on camera.
Yeah. We'll see them off camera later.
But I do have my eyeliner
Um,
tattooed, so there's that.
oh, do you? Good for
Yeah.
you, as one would. One more manifestor style question before we get into a couple of universal questions. And this is the question that I feel like every manifestor listening is like, you better fucking ask this. So, going to Lydia first. How do you choose what's worth initiating in a world full of distractions? Because I hear you guys have a lot. I mean, I'm a Manny Gen, so I got that manifestor in me. And the creation, you should see the app on my phone, the notes app. It is like miles long, and I have like 300 and something notes in there. So, Lydia, what would you answer to that?
Yeah, I think it's a learning experience for everyone. But for me, um, I will sit on it. So I think there's like an emotional, sacral aspect to this. But if I'll sit on it, if I'm not fully sure that it's going to serve me, like down the road for a little while, and I'll give myself time. Before I used to get frustrated. Actually, funny enough, we're talking about this. Um, I really want to create an agency name because right now it's under Lydia Bagarozza LLC, which is like kind of lame if I have people under it. So I've been trying to come up with a name. I've been trying to force it big on release. Like I need to release control and then things come to me and I get tested on this like literally every day. Um, but I think it's a balance between like the speed that manifestors can go at and giving ourselves a moment to sit and think like just a moment to sit and think like is this going to serve me down the road? Do I actually want to do this later on? Which I used to definitely act on things and then be like, oh shit, I actually don't want to do that. Or oh, that like maybe this was exciting to me last week, but it doesn't make sense today.
Yeah.
And so That has been really helpful. Actually, I feel like currently, and I guess this might be like an on the roof thing, but I've been doing a lot of stripping back and more in that observing state, and it's really, really helped me. I've noticed this actually shift as I've gotten older.
Hmm. Especially this year. I mean, in numerology, we're in a 9 year, so we are in a stripping
There
year.
we go.
Everyone's feeling some sort of loss or letting go of something. You're seeing it with Mother Earth. Shit's been crazy. So it's a weird year for sure.
Hmm.
Elizabeth, what about for you? Especially as splenic. I like how we have two different authorities in here, so we can really, it's totally fucking different. It's the quickest and the slowest.
Right, right. And that's what it's like. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, like I'm supposed to act with my urges, like act on my urges and when I do. And so honestly, like it's for me, what I do very often is I use my body and muscle test ideas. I muscle test pretty much everything. Like and if you're not familiar with it, you can use your body and you can look up Google how to muscle test with your body. You can use your fingers. I use my body as like a human pendulum. So literally like asking it to show me a yes and a no, and like yes is forward, backwards is no. And I will ask these questions. Should I go do this? Should I name it this? Like, should I price it this? Like I literally ask my body for everything when it comes to making decisions. If I'm like just and almost just for confirmation, it really helps me to know because my ego is really loud sometimes, and that self-doubt comes in and everything like that, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm just going to check in with my body. Like, is this really, what I should be doing? And so I'm not limiting myself, right? But I'm also not just like acting on every single urge that I get, right? Because, like you said, there's so many things that can come in at once, and then you're confused. You don't know which one to do, which is the right one, the wrong one. So I try to tune in, of course, and ask, myself, my intuition, which is the thing that I should be acting on. But then again, I muscle test all the time. Like, so much. I love it though.
Well, I feel like that is one of your senses of intuition
Yeah,
because it is a
100%.
rather intuitive process, like learning how to muscle test and do.
Yes.
I like the body pendulum. I'm not good at like the finger.
I'm not
That's hard for
either.
me.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, for
But
sure.
totally a form of intuition, I think.
Yeah. I was just muscle testing something this morning. I don't even remember what it was now.
Helpful.
I know. But like I got my answer. So then I let it go. You know what I mean? Then I let it go and
Yeah.
then I don't have to sit there and stress and worry about it all day.
Hmm.
Like, should I be doing this? It's like, okay, I got my answer. Like, cool, move on.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so a couple of questions that we're asking, all different types, just to see the differences. I would love Lydia, how do you know when you're living in alignment with your authentic manifestor energy?
Yeah. So I know we're off brand. We're supposed to get angry. I feel like my anger, I feel like it doesn't really come out as like anger per se, but more of
Mm.
like a frustration. Like I'm just freaking frustrated. And maybe that is a form of anger. I don't know. But I will notice that I'm like just frustrated with like a day-to-day situation. And if I'm really like doing something that I know is not aligned, I'll know. I think it's just like making that decision because there are some times where I can totally be a people pleaser. Like I love, people and I definitely have had that tendency. And so I think noticing when I'm feeling either exhausted or frustrated. Well, hey, Zoom will give you the thumbs up. Will be like the two signs that I am not doing things right. And then if I'm really not and I'm like ignoring it, I will get sick. So that is something that I've noticed. Like if I look at past stints of time where maybe I was doing something that like a job or dating somebody that wasn't aligned for me and I just couldn't say no or basically like let the universe push me out because I was like, I don't want to do it. I would get sick a ton and that sort of thing. So I've definitely gotten better with this with age, which has helped
Mhm.
a lot. Yeah.
I've heard with anger, m more so in women because we're so taught like keep your mouth shut, don't say
Mm.
anything wrong, sit down, be quiet. A lot of the anger is like this inner resentment. Does that
Mm.
feel like it comes up for you?
I think it does. I will notice that, and I don't do it like outwardly, but I will notice in my brain that I will like point fingers at someone else,
Yes.
like almost,
Yeah.
yeah, like be like, oh, it's them, and then I'll sit with it. I'm like, no, it's me. It's really me. So yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
could see that as resentment, which is so interesting. I've had so many like thoughts about this over time where women can express anger and how it manifests in other ways. So thank
Yeah.
you for bringing that up because it's so true.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Yep. What about for you, Elizabeth? How do you know when you are more in alignment?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same as Lydia, like with the non-alignment. I think that's easier for us to tell, right? When we know when something's different because it's like frustration for me. It's like that's how it comes in rather than anger, like an annoyance. Like also for me is procrastination. Like if I don't want to do something, I will put it off until it's like absolutely the last day that I need to do it, and I have so many things that like I want to get done that I don't really want to get done. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like because like the things that require for that end result are pretty annoying and tedious. So I'm like, ugh, like that doesn't feel in flow. Like I don't want to do that, right? Um, so feeling it like when we're in alignment for me is really just feeling that ease and flow and that creative juice coming where it's like I'm able just to like get it out and be done, like, you know what I mean, with no problems, and I'm not sitting there and constantly questioning myself, and just being able to do it with high energy, right? I think that's a big piece for me too, is when I'm in high energy, when I'm having the momentum and I can move forward, because like I said, I am a lower energy person, but when I have that energy and I'm like going, 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 then I know I'm in alignment because it's like through your passion, your purposes, they actually energize you rather than drain you.
Yeah. Do you feel like that signature of peace is felt in any areas of your life when you go through that urge or when you just feel in alignment?
For sure. Yeah. Peace. Like, and I think for me, it's like the opposite of restlessness, right? Like having that restlessness is like something's off or you're not living in that alignment, right? And then that peace is where you can just be. You can just be and be present and just feel like I don't have like there's not something always in my mind where I'm like, what do I need to do? What do I need to fix? What do I need to accomplish? Right? Like
Hmm.
that's a big indicator.
Yeah, so true. You also said the word annoying, and I hear that a lot, not just even from manifestors, but Manny Gens too. Like, especially if our creation process is cut off because maybe someone walks in the office or someone interrupts something we're doing. It is like this anger that is annoyance. And it's like, I used to get so annoyed with myself for being so annoyed. And then I realized, well, it was because I was like I was disconnected at the when I didn't want to be. And that's annoying and that causes anger.
Yeah, I do get annoyed when I'm in the middle of something and my husband walks
Yeah.
in, and then I'm like, okay, what? Like, even though like because we both work from home, so it's so easy for
Yeah.
that to
Feel
happen,
that.
but
Yep. Yep. I
God
feel
love him.
that. I know. Love him. Yes. And also, I just need my space sometimes. Yes. My final question. What do you wish other types understood about your energy? What do you want them to know, Lydia?
Yeah. I thought about this one, and this is the first thing that came to mind. So I'm going to say this, that I don't have all the energy in the world all the time. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of people look to me for the one to organize like events or like things like group hangouts, or I'm the one that has to select the place that we're going to dinner, whatever it is. And sometimes I'm just exhausted and I just want someone to make a decision for me and not feel
Mhm.
like I need to be the leader all the time. So, and I think I love being the leader, don't get me wrong, but I think that it's just that up and down where we don't have consistent energy all the time. So, I would love for people to understand that, where if I'm like responding in a certain way, I would love for everyone to be educated on the system where they could just be like, oh, okay, like Lydia's like not in her like creative high energy flow right now. And therefore I'll step up and I can help with this, or I can
Mhm.
make the decision today to do that. That would be so supportive for me.
Don't forget to use your voice. Remember,
Yeah.
you initiate other people into action too. And I know it can feel like a burden because you've always been the one who just takes control. But decision fatigue is so fucking real right now.
It's
My
so
husband will
real.
ask me one thing and I'm like, I can't. Like, I don't even present the options to me. I'm just toast for the day. So delegation is just so, so important. And like, I'm totally
Hmm.
rounding this conversation out, but like remembering to ask for support too.
Yeah,
What about for you,
definitely.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, I really resonate with what Lydia said is, we're so used to just taking control and making the plans and like sometimes it'd be nice just to not be the one to make the plans, right? But
Hmm.
then we end up doing it anyway because it's in our nature to not want to wait for others to do it, right? But then, just recognizing that, once in a while we don't want to have to make the decisions is a big thing. But I think for me too is like with my kids and like if you have kids, like just giving yourself grace and like not having to feel like let go of the mom guilt, right? Like the mom guilt is so real because, and I do try to go above and beyond all the time for my kids, but like I can't always make it to every little thing, right? Or I don't always want to play all the time or whatever it is, right? And it's because the energy is not there. And I know it's harder for a kid to understand that, like, and to really understand the energy, but I think more for like the parents, like to just to give yourself some grace and let go of the guilt and knowing that you're doing the best that you can with the energy that you have and like just being really intentional when you are there, right? To being present and then giving yourself times in those grace in those times that you're not, and like you said, ask for support, right? Like ask for support where you can, where even if it's a friend, I know so many times we're so, it's so easy for us to be like, no, I'm fine. I don't need anything, even if people offer, right? To even if it's like an hour, like take them up on it, say yes, right? And I remember that too. Like when I first had my first child and my mom came over and was like, go take a nap. I'm going to do the dishes. I was like, what? No, like I don't know. And like just to be able to say yes to that support and help, and even like the support that I do get from them now, I've had to learn to let go of that guilt 100%.
Hmm. I'm not gonna lie, you guys are inspiring me into creation mode right now because I'm realizing like I mean, the general, just women in general, with the disconnect from the divine feminine and with learning to receive. And I'm seeing it's probably especially so for manifestors. If you are so constantly used to being the only one who initiates and leads, I can imagine there's an even deeper wound there with how do I also receive support if this is what I'm used to doing? Like you can't count on anyone else. So I'm maybe gonna go deep on that. TBD. And then I wanted to point out, Elizabeth, that I remind myself all the time when my kids see me take rest, when my kids see me go on a girls' weekend, I am reminding them that they're still a woman, not just a mom, not just a wife. Like I was raised with parents who literally barely ever saw friends. They barely left the house except for work. They just weren't happy. And my husband and I, like when we first got married, we're like, we are going to continue as best we can to be our own individual people. That's really important for us. So we get to show our kids, like, yes, moms still need rest. It's really good to have alone time. Maybe you go have some alone time and all those things. So that's really helpful for me when I'm like tired. I'll tell my kids, I'm like, I just really need some space right now when all their hands are on me, you know? It teaches them we're human. I think it's
Yeah,
helpful.
for sure.
Okay. I feel like I could keep going all day, but I won't. Is there any last anything that either of you feel like you wanted to say or something coming up for you that needs to be heard before we complete?
No. I'm like, let me look at my
Transition
notes here.
complete.
This was so good. But I do want to say, thank you for saying that because I think me, like, I'm not a mother yet, and I've grappled with like this, and I've also seen friends that are, even like close friends that kind of like they don't have an identity anymore. Like their identity is
Mm,
mom,
yeah.
and it's been hard to like watch that and see that. And then there are some other people that I think do it really well. But it's like the how, like how. So anyway, that was really helpful. You should go deep on
You
that.
you
Oh,
should, and
I do
and
lots
I
of
think
that.
yeah, and I think it's important too, and that's remind me of something like my husband and I always said, like a lot of times as parents, and again this is going back to parenting, like we put our kids first all the time, right? Because they're our whole lives and they rely on us. But at the same time, it's like if you're not fulfilling your cup, if you're not, and even as a couple, we said as a unit, like we need to be strong so they can be strong because we are the
Mhm.
pillars that they see and the examples they see. And so as individuals, 100% too. And my husband and I talk about this a lot. Like we like not allow, but we encourage each other to go do things with our friends by
Yep.
ourselves, even though we're so used to being in hermit mode together, and it can be uncomfortable for us to get out and go do things, and oftentimes we find ourselves being like, oh, I don't have energy to go do it, but I know when I go do it I'm gonna have so much fun and it's gonna be so worth it. And so it's like we have to force ourselves to actually go and do the activity, right? Because we know it's good for our souls, and we can get so used to just being here because at the end of the day, like you do want to be your own individual person and show your kids,
Hmm.
or just for your soul, right? To feed that, right? To be able to step into your own authority and selves and set that example. So I think
Hmm.
it is really important to maintain that, right? And to do things just for yourself sometimes.
Yeah. It is like selfish, but it's like showing your kids that it's healthy to take care of yourself and to have your own boundaries in
Right.
like
And
the
I
best
use
way.
this with my clients all the time. Like you can't, pour from an empty cup. And also my favorite one is like, you need to put your life mask on first, your oxygen mask first,
Hmm.
because if you don't, guess what? You're dead and then you can't help anyone anyway.
Yep.
So like you have
Yep.
to do these things, right? It's so important.
Hmm. That's so funny. I would have never thought we'd end this conversation talking about that.
I'm like, and a mic drop.
Right? But
Try,
absolutely, because
put your
most
oxygen
people who
mask on
listen to
first.
this, maybe not most, but a solid amount of people who listen to this are moms or parents of some sort. And it's really important for us to take that time. Like I host my monthly new moon circles every month. Last night we had at 8 p.m. There's moms who hop on there. There's kids in the background, but they're like, I need this for my sanity. Like I need this hour tonight. So the more that we do that, the better that we're raising the generations forever under us. It's not just ours, like their kids and go on. See, I could talk
Mhm.
about this for fucking ever. So look what you started.
Sorry.
Okay. Woo! Okay, let's go through and let everyone know how they can find you. Lydia, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, so you can find me at lydiabagarozza.com. I think Lyd Marie Bag on Instagram, but if you type in my name, there's nobody else. It's very long. So you can find me on Instagram. You can email me, lydia@lydiabagarozza.com. I am available everywhere and I love to chat. So feel free to connect with me.
There's that manifestor, that throw. I just want to talk to people.
Mhm.
Elizabeth, what about you?
Yep. So you can find me at elizabethplanson.com, just my name. It's spelled like Plancon, but no one says it right, but it's the beauty of it. And same with Instagram, Facebook. My handles are just my name, TikTok as well, Elizabeth Planson. You can just type those in and you'll be able to find me, message me, DM me, whatever works for you, email. I'm all about it.
Oh, you're on the TikTok now, huh?
Oh, I've been on TikTok since I started like when I was first developing my psychic abilities. So I've been on it
Good for
since like
you.
probably 21.
Here's an OG.
I am an
Oh,
SOG.
OG.
and all of your links and everything will be in the show notes below. So please go reach out to them, let them know that you listened, or just give them a follow. Thank you guys so much for spending your time doing this. You absolutely didn't have to, and you chose to. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.